Welcome everyone. Today I am explaining the Indian Express. This is of 20th of August and I will explain this newspaper in 3 steps. First, why is the news? Second, what is the news? And third, what can be the future prospects of the news? So let's get started with our first news. Firestorms as CBI searches Sisodia home, names him in corruption FIR. So why is this news? This news is because of a scheme that was launched by Delhi government and then also withdrawn. This was a scheme about banning sale of liquor by government and allowing the private entities or enterprises only to sell the liquor. So now it is alleged that government have waived some 100 plus crore rupees of these private entities and they have sent this money to civil servants as well as their ministers. So CBI is now searching for the households of all these officials. So tensions between the BJP ruled centre and AAP government has escalated. Why? Because a case is registered against Manish Sisodia and other excise officers in the capital over alleged corruption in the rollout of liquor policy that recently was withdrawn by Delhi government. So I will explain this more in the explained page because it is given there in more detail. So what the Kejriwal has the reaction to it, he said that Delhi health education talk of the world. So center wants to stop it. So he is talking that the quality of health and education that Delhi government has provided to its people is the talk of the world. The world is talking about it. So center wants to stop it. This is what Kejriwal reacted. I will explain this more in the explained page. Moving forward to our next news. Hasina set to arrive in Delhi on September 5. Trade and defense ties on talks table. So Bangladesh, why is this news? Because as you know, Bangladesh and India share their boundaries as well as are good neighbors as well. And the Prime Minister of Bangladesh haven't visited India since the pandemic. So she is now coming for the trade and defense talk mainly. Also there will be some more initiatives that will be done by both the Bangladesh and India together. So let's move. What is the news? So she is likely to arrive on September 5 and return on September 8. What will be the main expectations? The main expectations are that they will jointly inaugurate a Swadhinta Sadak from Bangladesh to India through virtual mode. Trade, connectivity and defense ties are expected to dominate the conversation between the two sides when the leaders meet for bilateral talks on September 6. So trade, connectivity between the Bangladesh and India and defense ties. These three will be the main talk. Also border management, river sharing and development cooperation. The management of border areas as well as the river sharing between both the countries and development cooperation between both the countries. This will also be a part of discussion. So Hasina last visited India in 2019 before pandemic and Modi went to Bangladesh in March last year. Why? Because of the commemoration of 50 years of Bangladesh War of Liberation and establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries. As you may know that Bangladesh was East Pakistan in its previous years. Then in the war of Pakistan and the East Pakistan, they both separated out and the East Pakistan became Bangladesh and India played a major role in helping out. So Modi went to Bangladesh to celebrate that event. Officials said that India and Bangladesh share bond of history as well as language as well as culture and multitude of other commonalities. The excellent bilateral ties reflect an all-encompassing partnership based on sovereignty, equality, trust and understanding that goes far beyond strategic partnership. So it's saying that there is a partnership based on equality, trust that goes beyond strategic partnership. So ahead of her visit, what Hasina has said, Hasina said that Hindu community in Bangladesh has the same rights as she has. Interacting with Hindu community leaders, she urged believers of other faiths not to think of themselves as minorities. As you know, in Bangladesh, Hindus are minorities and Muslims are majority of the population. So, saying that everyone, irrespective of their religion, will enjoy equal rights in Bangladesh, which is a Muslim majority country, as I told you. We want people of all faiths to live with equal rights. You are people of this country, you have equal rights here, you have the same rights as I have. She told Dhaka Tribune, you would always think that you are citizens of this country and you will enjoy equal rights. We also want to see you in that way. Please don't undermine yourselves. You were born in this country, you are citizens of this country. She is talking about Hindu people and said that during Durga Puja there are more pandals in Dhaka than in Kolkata. Hasina also lamented that there is an untoward incident. Colors are given to that incident in a way to portray that Hindus have no rights here. So she is talking about if some mishappening occur, then the incident is given or shown in such a way that it portrays that Hindus have no rights here and the actions of the government after the incidents don't get proper attention. So she is also talking about that if some mishappening happens, and what the government do then to prevent or maybe to sublime that mishappening. The news do not focus on that. So we will be tracking, we will be seeing that when Hasina come, what more cooperation or what more will happen in our country, as well as what will be their joint collaboration other than this Swadhinta Sadak. So in September we will see that. Moving next, as chip shortage bites, companies cut down features to reduce delay. So why is this news? This news is because, as you know or you may know, that chip shortage is a very big cause, a very big matter today in the world. Taiwan is the biggest manufacturer of chips, semiconductor chips, and there is a clash between China and Taiwan there. So that is why the supply has disrupted, and chips are used everywhere, from mobile phones to tablets to electronic vehicles as well as in cars and other motor vehicles. So we will see what is the news. As the semiconductor shortage continues to affect supply chains across sectors, companies are attempting to reduce delays for consumers by cutting down on features that require chips. So what the companies are doing? Companies are actually cutting down those features on the cars that require chip system. So in order to reduce delay, automakers, for instance, are delivering new cars with just one key and promise to provide the next one at a later date. Others are delivering cars with smaller display screens without music system. So as you know, music system as well as the key that has the Wi-Fi connection, you can say, that opens the door and closes the door in a car, or you can say it alerts also the car. It's all done by these minute chips. So the automakers are cutting down these features and providing cars without these features. Despite these adjustment, waiting periods on several models are a record high. So this is all about private companies. We will see that banking and telecommunication sector are also forced to adapt. Chip or a semiconductor is a crucial component that powers electronic items and is used extensively by companies that make smartphones, computers, laptops, automobiles and fast moving consumer goods, etc. Supply of these chips took a hit during lockdown, forcing chip making facilities to shut down. So also, as you know, China and Taiwan both were regressively affected by pandemic. As you know, the Wuhan virus, which originated in Wuhan, that seriously affected the whole world as well as China and Taiwan. China is also a very major producer of chip, as well as Taiwan is the biggest producer. So that is why there was a disruption in the supply of these chips. So automobile companies have also tinkered with their production pattern by manufacturing some models of car with fewer features requiring fewer chips. So they are actually trying to adjust, and they are trying to recover the delay that is happening because of chips. So this is all private car news. So we will see, according to JP Morgan research, more chips will be available in the second half of 2022 as normalcy returns. This could mean that there will be enough supply to meet the demand during the festive seasons that starts in India next month. So it is expected that in the second half of 2022, normalcy will return and chip production will get to its strength, and then demand will be met. Available chips, however, may not sufficient to satisfy all demand. Some projections say that situation will not ease before 2024. So, it is saying that whatever the amount of chips are available, they are not sufficient to satisfy the demands, and some say that the situation will not be easy before the 2024 arrives. So, what will be the future prospects? I think when people buy cars or some electronic items, they do not want to buy the less quality, or you can say this modified form of chips. So sales can be dropped, or you can say sales can get less. So we will see whether this kind of electronics and this car, or you can say vehicles, will be sold, or maybe you can say brought by the peoples or not. So we will be tracking this, and if it becomes successful, then obviously chip shortage with that situation will be mitigated soon. So it will depend upon people whether they are likely to purchase this kind of item or not. So moving forward to the page, this is a news. All party MP group to seek Bharat Ratna for Dalai Lama. So why is this news? Because Dalai Lama is a great personality who hails from Tibet, and it is being decided, or you can say it is being asked by this parliamentary forum to give Bharat Ratna to Dalai Lama. So we will see what is the news. The All-Party Indian Parliamentary Forum for Tibet, it has decided to urge the government to confer the Bharat Ratna on Dalai Lama and sought a joint session of parliament to be addressed by him. It has also proposed the adoption of policy on the lines of United States Tibetan Policy and Support Act. So, the forum, which has more than 20 MPs including from the BJP, it has decided to all the MPs to take special care of the address, and it has asked them to resolve the issues of Tibetans living in different parts of the country in consultation with the local authorities. So, we will see what they also talked about. If we pass a resolution seeking Tibet to be an independent country, it would have been a bit too much because India has a One China policy. So, what is One China policy? One China policy, it validates that Tibet, Xinjiang, as well as Taiwan and Hong Kong, these are the part of China. These are not independent countries as well as part of China. So, they are talking that if we pass a resolution seeking Tibet to be an independent country, it would be too much because India is following One China policy. What are we asking? What we are asking for is to address the issues concerning the Tibetans living here. We are asking for protection of ecology of Tibet because it's important for downstream India. So, they are not talking about giving independent status to Tibet, they are talking about giving protection and facilities to Tibetan people who live here in India. So, there is also a talk about Dalai Lama to be invited to address a joint session of Parliament. The forum will request Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar, who is also Vice President, to invite the Dalai Lama to address the MPs at the Central Hall. So, we will see whether this Bharat Ratna will be given. It is also, there is a talk that there is a bill that has been prepared by private member which seeks a Tibet Policy Act, which asks the government to appoint a special coordinator within the Ministry of External Affairs for Tibetan related issues to promote substantive dialogue between Chinese government and Dalai Lama and his representatives or democratically elected leaders of the Tibetan community, among other things. So, there is a bill that is proposed by a private member regarding what? Regarding appointment of a special coordinator within the Ministry of External Affairs. Why? To promote dialogue between China and Dalai Lama as well as representatives, or you can call democratic elected leaders of the Tibetan communities. Bill says that the special coordinator that is being that is from the Ministry of External Affairs should establish international diplomatic coalitions to oppose any move by the Chinese government to select, educate and venerate Tibetan Buddhist religious leaders in a manner inconsistent with Tibetan Buddhism, in which a succession or identification of Tibetan Buddhist lamas, including the Dalai Lama, should occur without interference in a manner consistent with Tibetan Buddhist belief. So, this is that he is talking about an international diplomatic coalition. Why? In order that China must not interfere in the education of the Tibetan Buddhist religious leaders. They call that their education must be by the process of Tibetan Buddhism, not with the interference of anyone, including China also. He has also asked government to allocate a fund not less than 3 million in the union budget to assist the democratic activities of Tibetan refugees in India. So, this is a private bill. We will see whether this bill will be passed or not. If it will be passed, there will be a very great benefit to Tibetan people as well as their leaders. So, we will be see in future whether this occurs or not, and also this Bharat Ratna process. So our next news is 10 crore rural household connected to piped water facility, says PM. So tomorrow there was a virtual address of Pradhan Mantri regarding Har Ghar Jal Utsav. So which means that every household, Har Ghar Jal Utsav, every household has a piped water connectivity. So what is the news? Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday congratulated Goa government for becoming the first state to be Har Ghar Jal certified, which means that every household in the state has a piped water connection. In a virtual address, he said that the Union Territory of Dadra, Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu and also achieved the feat as well. He called that today 10 crore rural households of the country are connected to piped clean water facility. He is calling that this is a big success of government's campaign to deliver water to every household. He called this a great examples of everyone efforts, which is Sabka Prayas, and he said that Jal Jeevan Abhiyan was not just a government scheme but a scheme run by the community for the community. Many states will join in achieving this mission soon. So this Goa state, which is a coastal state, has a population of about 15 lakh, and this Utsav was under the Jal Jeevan mission, which was held in Panji and attended by also the CM Pramod Sawant as well as Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat. So Sawant said that it's a matter of pride for the people of Goa and congratulated various government departments that worked continuously through the 2 years of COVID for achieving this milestone. So what were the future prospects? We will see more of this connectivity, more of this piped water facility in other states as well, and this will surely benefit every citizen of the country because water scarcity and as well as fresh water availability is a great issue in our country, and in some areas people have to travel 3 to 4 kilometers in order to get water, and also they get dirty water there. So if this mission will be successful like Swachh Bharat mission, this will be a great ease for the people to have access to fresh water. So coming now to explain page. So this is the news which I was talking about in the first page. So I'll explain here. It is given in question and answer format. So let's get started. CBI's Delhi excise case. So what is the case? CBI and Delhi Police EOW are investigating allegations that the Delhi Excise Department under direct orders of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia allowed a waiver of 144.36 crore to the liquor cartel on a tendered license fee, and that funds were diverted to public servants. So we have already talked about what is the news. What is the news? CBI on Friday raided the residence of Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia in connection with this alleged corruption in the Delhi government's now withdrawn Delhi excise policy of 2021-2022. So this was a policy that was firstly inaugurated by the Delhi government and now it is withdrawn. Chain of events culminating in the CBI action was set in motion on July 8 when Delhi Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar submitted a report to Lieutenant Government Vinay Kumar Saxena accusing Sisodia. So all this started because of the Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar. He submitted a report to the Governor and he accused Sisodia of providing undue benefits to liquor vend licensees in lieu of kickbacks and commissions which were allegedly used by Aam Aadmi Party in the Punjab Assembly elections. So this was started by the Chief Secretary and he said that this money was used in order to get win in the Punjab Assembly elections. So after Lieutenant Government recommended an investigation by the CBI, Sisodia announced that the new liquor policy will be scrapped on August 1 and the only government-owned liquor vendor would be allowed to sell alcohol in the national capital. So now this scheme has changed. While the CBI has moved in following the LG's recommendations, Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing has separately investigating the Delhi Government Excise Department for alleged irregularities in the new liquor policy. So this is the department, this is the Economic Offences Wing. This is now investigating separately also in regards with CBI. So what has CBI said? CBI has named 15 individuals, including Sisodia, topping the list. He has quoted that 2 other senior excise department officials were instrumental in recommending and taking decisions pertaining to excise policy for year 2021-2022 without approval of competent authority, with an intention to extend undue favors to licensees post tender. So they are talking about that they approved this scheme without the approval of competent authority. And why they approved this scheme without them? In order to extend the favors in the form of money to licensees post tender. So this is the FIR. How did Delhi police got involved? This is also not of use. What did the EOW investigation find? This can be important. EOW issued notice to Assistant Commissioner of the Excise Department seeking details about alleged illegal distribution of liquor licenses to company that had violated terms and conditions of new excise policy. So it has asked detail from the Assistant Commissioner regarding what violations, what mistakes, or you can call it, these private companies have violated in terms of the terms and conditions that were of the new excise policy. It also sought documents and details, including the date. This is not. EOW asked the department to provide the application forms of all successful applicants that received liquor license along with the relevant documents they had submitted. So they are talking about the application forms of the successful applicants as well as the relevant documents that these applicants have submitted. So what does the Chief Secretary report say? He says that Sisodia allegedly made changes to the excise policy without the approval of Lieutenant Government, such as allowing a waiver of rupees 144.36 crore on tendered license fee. So this is the main, you can call, issue of this whole matter. Waiver of rupees 144.36 crore. So he said that Excise Department under direct orders of Sisodia decided to allow a waiver of this rupee singularly to Liquid Cartel on a tendered license fee under the excuse of COVID pandemic. So he said because of COVID pandemic, Sisodia has allowed a waiver. Waiver means maafi of 144.36 crore on the tendered license fee because of this pandemic. So officials said that if any changes are made to a policy that has already been implemented, the Excise Department needs to place them before the Cabinet and forward it to the Lieutenant Government for final approval. So he's saying that if any policy is implemented and if you want to change it, you have to consult with the Cabinet, you have to consult with the Lieutenant Government for the final approval, but Sisodia didn't do it. He is alleging such charges. Any changes made without the approval of the Cabinet and Lieutenant Government are illegal, and this violate the Delhi Excise Rule 2010 as well as the Transaction of Business Rule 1993. The report also alleged that Sisodia gave undue benefits to liquor licensees by revising the rates of foreign liquor and removing the levy of import pass fee of 50 per case of beer. So reports also allege that he gave benefit by revising the rates of foreign liquor that are imported, as well as he also removed the levy of import pass fee. He also just reduced it by 50 rupees per case of beer. This is according to the report, made foreign liquor and beer cheaper for retail, leading to a loss of revenue for the state exchequer. So this made this whole thing, foreign liquor as well as beer, cheaper for the retail. So what was the policy that is in the heart of investigation? It was proposed in 2020, came in effect in 2021. Delhi was divided into 32 zones, with each zone having 27 liquor vents. 32 zones, each zone 27 liquor vents. It marked the exit of government from selling liquor. So I told you that it allowed only the private firms to sell liquor in the city and marked the exit of government from selling liquor. And after withdrawing of this scheme, this allowed only government to sell liquor. So previously it was only private, and after it becomes only government. And each municipal ward would have 2 to 3 vents. It aims to end the liquor mafia and black marketing. So what was the aim of this scheme? The aim of this scheme was to end the liquor mafia thing and black marketing of the liquor, increase revenue and improve consumer experience. Also to increase the revenue coming from the selling of these liquors and improve consumer experience. The people who buy these liquor also get good experience, as well as ensure equitable distribution of liquor vents. So equitable distribution means every zone has same amount of same amount of liquor vents, 32 zones with each having 27 liquor vents. So this is equitable distribution. The government also made the rules flexible for licensees. The people who want to seek license from the government, the rules were made easier, flexible, such as allowing them to offer discounts and set their own prices instead of selling on MRP fixed by government. So in order to increase the sale, it is also accused that government made the rules flexible to licensees so that they may offer discounts to the customer, as well as if they want to set a price instead of any MRP, they can fix it without government intervention. Following this, discounts were offered by vendors, which attracted crowds. Obviously, if discounts are given they attract the crowd. And after protest by opposition, the excise department withdrew the discount for some time. So there was a protest regarding why such a discount is given regarding liquor sale. So it was withdrawn also for some time. After the implementation of the new excise policy, government revenue increased by 27%, generating around 8,900 crore. So this is the amount that government generated when after the implementation of this policy in 2021-2022. So moving forward to our world news. Ensure return of Gotabaya Lanka ruling party to Ranil. So this is about Sri Lanka. We asked the president to facilitate his return and ensure security necessary. So he is currently in Thailand. The people are asking that the president must come to India. Shehbaz expresses desire for peaceful relations with India. So this is a news which is important. As you know, Shehbaz Sharif is the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and he is desiring for the peaceful relation with India, which is a big thing. So it has expressed his desire for peaceful relations with India based on the principles of equity, justice and mutual respect, and resolution of Kashmir issue. So he's talking about justice, mutual respect between both the countries, and resolution of the Kashmir issue, that is in Jammu and Kashmir. Sharif also urged the international community to play a facilitative role to ensure durable peace and stability in South Asia. So it's calling for international countries for them to become a facilitative role, or in order to provide assistance to both the countries of India and Pakistan in order to have the peace and stability in the South Asia region. Sharif expressed that his views in some area. Pakistan desires peaceful ties with India based on principles that's already told you. In this context, just and peaceful resolution of Jammu and Kashmir dispute in accordance with the relevant UNSC resolutions and the wishes of Kashmiri people was indispensable. So this is the news. They want to resolve the Kashmir issue with just and peaceful resolution in accordance with the relevant UNSC resolution, and also with the wish of Kashmiri people. What they want must be taken care of. So they are talking, we will see what India reacts to it, which is very important, because such desires of peace and talks are very rare between India and Pakistan. So we will track this in future, what India will respond to it regarding the Kashmir issue, as well as this peaceful relation between the two. International community has to play a facilitative role, as it was essential for durable peace and stability, that already I have told you. India has repeatedly told Pakistan that it desires normal relations with Islamabad in an environment free of terror, hostility and violence. So as you know, after the Pulwama attack, there were the relations between the India and Pakistan became very worse. It was like a sword fight, you can call. But after that, India also gave its soft hand to Pakistan, and it's all set to be ready to talk with Pakistan if the Pakistan do not give hindrance, or you can call, do not give place for terrorists to live there, and it do not provide safe havens for the terrorist. So this is the main issue with India and Pakistan. India accuses that Pakistan provides safe havens to terrorists, and it will not talk of peace unless and until the Pakistan and India both set their common goal in order to mitigate and remove this terrorism from the world. So what with the future prospects, we will be seeing what India will react to the Shehbaz desires. We will look at that. So moving forward to the economy page. Main news is about growth, inflation and external balance. India better placed. So Finance Ministry had its monthly economic review, and it said that even though geopolitical risks remain, which could trigger fresh supply concerns in the winter for critical commodities such as crude oil, natural gas, although because of all these risks, India is better placed on growth, inflation, external balance triangle for 2022-2023 than it was 2 months ago on the back of government policy response and Reserve Bank monetary policy actions. This was said by Finance Ministry. Going ahead, Kharif sowing supported by southwest monsoon coupled with high MSP for Kharif crops is likely to enhance rural demand. So it's talking about good growth in the agriculture sector. They are saying that Kharif sowing supported by southwest monsoon, this was of help, as well as higher MSP for the crops was also of help. Urban consumption is expected to benefit from the demand for the contact intensive services. This urban consumption will benefit from this demand and improving performance of corporates and growing optimism of consumers. So they are talking about good envisages that this ministry focuses on upcoming days, or you can call upcoming years in 2022-2023. The robust production of capital goods along with the government's capex push and large expansion in bank credit will uphold the investment activity. So there will be large expansion in bank credit. Bank credit means loans that are given to people. So if loans will be given, the people will invest more in areas, and also their businesses will get improved. On the price situation, they said that in the absence of any further shocks, the downward movement of global commodity prices along with RBI's monetary measures and the government fiscal policy expected to cap inflationary pressures in the coming months. So I told you yesterday about a meeting that is going to occur between monetary policy, finance ministry as well as central government, RBI. Also because inflation is above 6% since 3 quarters. So there will be a meeting and they are talking that if everything remains normal, the inflation will be capped in the coming months. Softening of inflationary pressures in India is further on the anvil of prices of important raw materials. It will, the inflationary pressure, if it wants to ease, if the inflation wants to ease, this will depend upon the price of important raw materials such as iron ore, copper, tin that feed into the domestic manufacturing process globally trended towards July 2022. So inflation, retail inflation eased to 6.7% in July. It was 7.01% in June. Despite the global headwinds, the IMF forecast India's economic growth to be at a rate of 7.4% in fiscal year 2023, highest among major economies also. So this growth rate is high, but we will see how inflation will be beneficial or maybe mitigate all these effects. If inflation goes down, it will be beneficial. Inflation increases, it will mitigate all the, it will obviously take it in more deeper areas. On the external front, the review said post-Russia conflict outbreak, a rise in uncertainty among investors has led to capital outflows not just from India alone but from the group of emerging markets economies as a whole. So it's talking about investors have taken their money out not just from India but from other countries. Why? Because of these uncertainties that are in our world because of this Russia-Ukraine. So MPC members for front loading of rate hikes shows minutes. So as you know, there will be a meeting. Inflation remained a major concern for members of RBI MPC because of it has increased its repo rate 3 times in a year, first in May, then in June and then in August. Recently it has also increased 50 basis points. So what the RBI governor said, he said on the domestic front, though inflation has moderated and plateaued since its recent peak of April 2022, it remains unacceptably and uncomfortably high. So it's saying that inflation in India is lower than the weighted average on its major trading partners. All in all, Indian economy is running a positive growth. Obviously it is running a positive growth because it has forecasted an economic growth of 7.1%, which is I think great for a country. But also MPC's external member, while voting in the favor of 50 basis point hikes, expressed reservations about the stance of policy which was to focus on the withdrawal of accommodation to contain inflation while supporting growth. So when this voting was occurring, whether 50 basis point hike should be applied to not. He was focusing on the withdrawal to contain inflation, to restrict, or you can call restrain the inflation, as well as to support growth. So we will be seeing in the next quarter whether this inflation is tamed or not. So obviously inflation is a great concern for both the sections, poor as well as upper class, but it severely affects the poor class. So government is trying its effort, its endeavor to tame this inflation. We will be seeking whether this will be the aim in upcoming quarters or not, because it is already in high levels of more than 6%. If inflation comes down, the growth will also increase, because of this inflation, growth is not as much supported as it is when inflation is low. So I would say this paper was not so short, but it consisted of very important news regarding economy, as well as the explain page of the case, international, which is Bangladesh, as well as Dalai Lama news. All of these were important and you can read it as well.